Hello and welcome to Milestone Mindset Live. I am very excited about our show today called Living in the Land of Now, or the Land of Yes, or the Land of Flow. Those are the ways that Tony Gonzales describes how he lives today. And I have a feeling it's always how you live, Tony. And we are here to talk about and create awareness for early onset Alzheimer's and how there's a benefit to finding that out early, as with many conditions. But I want to jump right in and say this show is for individuals, small businesses, nonprofits, really anyone who needs to be inspired, wants to be inspired. And Tony, thank you so much for being here. Tony Gonzales on the board of the National Alzheimer's Association and living in the land of now. Tell me what that means, Tony.
Well, it is a pleasure to be here, Nancy. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here to share my story and share a little bit about the exciting times that are happening in the world of dementia. And as you mentioned before, I am 49 years old currently. A couple of years ago, I had some issues pop up and I was diagnosed with early onset dementia and mild cognitive impairment. I had never heard those words before in my life. My grandmother had died from complications from dementia, from Alzheimer's. My wife's grandmother had passed away from it. So I'd seen the disease before, but this was the first time I really saw the disease. And we're the type of people, you're right, that we're very busy folks. I've always been a very busy person, always in entertainment, a philanthropist, a volunteer for Kiwanis International and locally, my church. There isn't a lot of dust that settles. In fact, I would be known as the guy around town that when there was something wrong, called Tony because he's going to organize an event or he's going to organize a fundraiser. That was me. So when this struck us at a time when my son had already moved on to his life, my daughter was about to leave us and go to college in Montana. To get this diagnosis when we were ready to become empty nesters. I was still with the woman that I loved, my high school sweetheart, and our whole world changed. But it's because of her that I know I'm here today. I was 185 pounds heavier. My life was not being run like you might have thought day to day, living for today. That completely changed. I was living like everybody else, trying to get ahead in business, trying to get ahead in life, trying to get that extra dollar for my kids so that they can have whatever they want. Life was busy. For me, life didn't just slow down, life stopped. I had no more purpose. I went from being the man of the house and all that means of income and support to my beautiful wife to being the person that they have to take care of, that my children have to take care of. So I will tell you, for a week, I was pretty depressed. I was pretty sad. I was pretty down. And I can see how my brothers and sisters who've gone through this before me have felt alone and needed people like the Alzheimer's Association, needed support groups, needed people like you to spread the word. But thank God I had my wife, Corey, who gave me about a week to wallow, and she gave me some time to mourn. And then she said some very poignant words. She said, Tony, there is nothing that I can do for you. And I'm so sorry about this, that we're going through this. But there are things we can control. My wife was previously an educator. She worked in special education. She was seeing a lot of similarities in the symptoms that my disease presents when I'm heightened. She was seeing that in her autistic children. So she just used what she was trained to do, creating safe spaces for me, getting me involved in art therapy, taking me back to my roots of things that I recognized, whether it was television shows, music, just really embraced it. Things that we could control in our day, our schedule, the people we see, how they feel about me when they see me. We made this all up, but along the way, we're also touching base with the Alzheimer's Association. I had previously worked with another large organization, the American Cancer Society. So I had seen how when you take a community and you have innovation, science, and money, miracles can happen. Real things can happen. So that moment when my wife said, what can we do? Well, she can help me with my diet. She can help me with my exercise. I knew I needed to use whatever voice I had left to speak up and say that this shouldn't happen in America. Why is this happening? How do we end it? And what can we all do? Somehow that got me not only to be on the governing board of the association, which I am a very proud member of. I just cannot believe it sometimes. But also, I have had the chance to speak in front of the White House. I've been able to testify at the Ways and Means Committee. These are all things that I never thought I would do. So as my brain is dying and some things are going away, there is new life. And so, yeah, we learned how to live for today. My wife and I, we get up every morning. I wake up. Some days are good, some days are bad. And then I decide what we're going to do in the morning. You see, the mornings are the best for me. I get sundowners every day at 3 o'clock. So every day at 3 o'clock, after 3 o'clock, it's a whole different world for me. And I can get into detail a little bit later about that. But what it taught us was we were living for the moment. When I was having conversations, I wasn't having conversations. I was getting ready to say the next thing. I wanted the person to just shut up so I can talk. Now I'm a better husband, father, friend, brother, human being, because I've learned the lesson and I want to do better. The great news is this disease, it's against the ropes right now. We got it good against the ropes. And there's a lot of people just like me that are my age, a little bit older, a little bit younger, some even below my set stage, right? So there might be people that are just down here and instead of late stage. We're all in this together, but we truly have a way of seeing this disease end forever now. This is a very exciting time. I'm very blessed to be here. And again, I thank you for the opportunity to be here. So hopefully that kind of wraps everything up for you.
Wow. I don't know what else we can say. No,
we got lots. We got lots to do.
Yes, yes. Wow, right? I mean, your attitude is amazing.
Thank you.
I haven't really shared this publicly before, but my husband has also been diagnosed with a health concern, to say it mildly.
And you guys are young.
And we're young, a little older than you, but young.
Yes.
And when we got the news, the doctor said, I just had to tell another young couple the same thing. So you know what? I'm going to announce it here because by announcing it, it does help people. So my husband has been diagnosed with colon cancer. He was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And I learned that that's not a death sentence. And he has responded beautifully to treatment. So that's
it's
the
funny
reason.
My wife and I talk about this a lot because we run across so many people across the nation. Your husband, you, me, we all had that chance, and many people do. I saw it when I was in cancer. Everybody says, I'm going to do better. I'm going to be better. But it's really up to you to remember that it's the innovation and the science that got us through this. But yes, we all can do better and we can live with these diseases. And it probably changed your guys' feeling of how you felt together, right?
Yes. Well, I'll get to that in a moment. And this is really about you, but I think it's relevant.
It totally is.
The best piece of advice that my husband got from someone was, don't let them talk you into being sick.
That's right.
And I'd like to say that again. They said, don't let them talk you into being sick. That's different from being diagnosed with a disease. Yeah. So, and I had been praying for a project that my husband and I could work on together to have us, have something big to do together. Well, got the prayer answered. It's never how you think.
Before this disease, I was in Indian gaming. I was in marketing, radio. I've had a career in radio. I've done television. I've done all these weird jobs. I always say that I never could keep a job. But the thing that was different about all of those, and all of those had some glimpse of national fame here and there and a chance to it, but it never really accumulated to what this has become. But I told my wife, this time it's better because you're on this journey with me. She wouldn't have been with me on the other one. So to have her and for your husband to have you, you're right. It makes the journey so much more blessed.
It does. And you've already talked about, I believe you said you lost a lot of weight, your nutrition, your mental health, recognizing that at a certain point in the day, it needs to slow down. And that is something that we can all take from that. I mean, if we could do that every day and really concentrate on our health, that would be so helpful. So you and I are here both, we could have our other halves on this as well, which maybe we'll do one day.
I think that would be fun.
Yeah, but I would like you to share with our viewers or the readers of the column that this is going to become, what were some of the signs that you noticed that made you brave enough to ask, or how did you go about that journey? Because what we talked about before going on live today was recognizing some signs and advocating for yourself. And I've had Myra Garcia as a guest before, whom I met
Very
you
good friend of mine.
through, and she had a hard time being diagnosed with her.
Most people do. Most people do. The best thing I would tell you is number one, go to the Alzheimer's Association and look up their top 10 signs. I was actually at a Kiwanis meeting. My friend who worked for the association gave the presentation. This was a good probably 6 to 7 months before I really admitted anything. I sat in that meeting, I listened to every one of those, and I went, oh my gosh. At the time, 6 to 7 out of 10, I was like, whoa, something's wrong. Now I'm a good 10 out of 10. And that, I mean, that gives you how quickly this goes, how fast this can happen. And I'm doing a lot better, you know. Um, yeah, but I would say then the talk is with your primary doctor. The talk is with your person that's with you. For me, it's my wife, Corey. She's my wife. She's here all the time. Her and I had to have those conversations. One of the most scary times, I was coming home from work. I was working about an hour away. I was commuting, had a large area, and I was in my hometown, driving down a road that I'd driven down many, many times. I didn't looked around. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't even know where I'd been. And yeah, I was scared. But I had to think, what do I do? Somehow, this brain, if it doesn't make sense, then that's the disease. That's what they tell me. So somehow I remembered my wife and I knew I needed to call her. How I thought I would remember the number or anything, instinct took me there. Drove off the side of the road, looked up, saw the sign, and somehow it clicked in. I came home that night and Corey and I had a conversation. She said, you're tired, you're overweight. We're going to start working on your health after our son's wedding. Son's wedding was on the way. I had ordered these great American flag socks in honor of my son, who's a Marine, and his service to our country. So I came in from the barbecue. This is 3-4 days before the wedding. And I said, boy, my socks aren't here. And my son goes, they're right there. And I picked them up off the counter, opened them up. I said, these are great. These are going to work perfect. I'm so excited. Everybody was looking at me like my head had just blown off. And I said, what's wrong? And he goes, are you kidding me? And I said, what, son? He goes, Dad, you literally came in here 5 minutes ago and said that. And I said what? And he said, the exact thing you just did. And I laughed, shrugged it off, went outside. I could have cried right then because I knew something was wrong. To me, being in film and television and media, I knew it was like somebody had cut about 5 minutes out of the film, the final film. Everybody saw it and I didn't. So that night, I told Corey, I remember I was going to the shower because it was the only place I could go to cry without everybody seeing me cry. And I came out and I said, I'm scared. And she said, we'll figure it out. So we went to our primary doctor who had known me a long time. And you would have thought there would have been a procedure in place. There was no procedure. There was nobody online at that time. This was not that long ago, a couple years ago. Now you can go online. You'll see people just like me and Myra and other friends that are living in their communities. This can be a living disease. For me, it is a living disease. I live with it every single day. It does not define who I am. It will never define who I am. It's allowed me to do some miraculous things and maybe motivate some folks. But I pretty much guarantee you that if this were anything else, I'd be fighting back. I think some people are just fighters and some people just kind of maybe lie down. I don't know. I don't know why I'm a fighter, but I know that I had a new grandson. I have my children and I have my wife who I promised to make new memories. And that was enough for me to fight back. Yeah, it started with me with losing weight, 185 pounds. They first thought I had sleep apnea. So I said to my doctor, who by then was UCSF, I'd already gone to UCLA. They misdiagnosed me and said there was no way I could have memory problems. That was the head of neurology, by the way, over there. Then I went to UCSF and we got on a better track. And she said, Mr. Gonzales, it might be your sleep apnea. And I said, well, can I get the fat surgery? That's what I called it. She says, you mean the gastric bypass? And I said, yes. She says, well, you know, if you're thin, you still might have sleep apnea. I said, yes, But if I have this disease and you tell me I have 10 years left, I want to go out looking good. So we all had a good laugh. And she said, let's try it. We did. And I will say that the symptoms kind of mellowed out for about a month. And we were very, very hopeful. But then I started to progress. Old things started happening again. Sundowners started coming in. And we knew we needed to look at several other ways. It was another year until my primary doctor, just frustrated himself with everything, said, you know what? We're going to figure this out today. And he fumbled around for a test. He gave it to me. I failed. And what should have been the saddest day or the saddest moment of my life automatically became one of the greatest days of my life too, because we had been stuck in this weird nowhere diagnosis place. Everybody said we were crazy. Friends are leaving us. We're losing money. We're traveling. It's very confusing, hard time. And I only had 2 years. Some people can do up to 5 to 7 years of that. Once we got the diagnosis, I heard it and I went blank because my life just changed. I no longer would work again in a regular office. I would never drive again. I mean, my life was changing, but my wife was there. I looked up and I zapped out of it. And the doctor looked at me and says, it's going to be okay. And that's what I tell people now, because that felt good. He knew enough to say that he seen my wife having the support that we had that room. It's going to be okay. There's going to be complications. There's going to be tough days, but it's going to be okay. It really is. I say that a lot to myself. Some days are good and some days are bad. I often say it's like a sky, a cloudy sky. When you see a cloudy sky and you have those moments of bright blue and they're shining on you and it's warm and you feel good, and a cloud comes out, gets a little cold. You can't see as well because it's darker. That's dementia. But then that cloud might pass tomorrow. It might pass in a couple hours. It might pass after a nap. That's how I live every day. So for me, I look at the sky completely different now.
Mm-hmm. Well, you and I and my husband and Corey are very fortunate to have our partners like
Yes,
this.
ma'am.
Not everyone has that, but everyone does have the Alzheimer's Association, right?
Yes. Yes,
So
ma'am.
let's talk about that. Let's
Sure.
talk about how they can support people. Also, I believe you live in a metropolitan area. If you can be going to doctors in LA, right? And we live right outside of New York City, and
I am so excited to tell you that, unfortunately, I live in what's called a medical desert.
oh,
A medical desert is much like a desert. There, we have to travel 3 hours to be able to get any kind of future innovation that might happen. But because of speaking out, myself, Myra, those heroes who did it before me, things have changed so fast that now there's a possibility that this new medication that I hope to be on will actually be administered in my own town because of the things that the association did. This association has set up support groups. They've broken down access through government. They've broken down insurance barriers as well. And we're still working very hard to eliminate any kind of stigma. See, that's one of the things I fought when I first got into this. Many people saw my look, my new look, looking thin. They saw me talk, which I've never had the ability to not talk, thank God, yet. I do have more aphasia these days, though, but it's like this. I won't remember a lot of this, so I'm very glad that you're sending this to me. When I get excited and heated up a little bit, much like all my speeches I do, my wife records them so that I can watch them later because I don't remember them because I'm so heightened. It's kind of nice though because we use them later to educate people. So
well, I just put up the website for the Alzheimer's Association, alz.org. And please, anyone who has any questions, head there and see what they have there, connect with your local area. And if you don't have support in your area, support groups, I found them very helpful for something else in my life, not this particular journey. But when you find like-minded folks, caregivers, those who are loved ones, they need support as well.
It's very healing to not only speak about your own feelings, but to help somebody else through it. When I got on, I told Corey, she said, well, the first day I was in tears when I went to my first support group, not because it was sad, but because I realized I was just like them. And I'm like, oh my God, they're just like me. So again, happy, but sad. And now, oh my gosh, they are family and I love them very much. They are the reason one of the reasons I'm alive today, my support group.
And I'm just typing in here.
That's where I met Myra.
That's where you met Myra?
Yeah.
I met Myra at the bottom of my street.
I heard you guys were neighbors. Can you imagine if all three of us were
20 years
neighbors?
ago. 20 years ago. So I'm just going to put this up on the scroll as well, on the board as well. To, oops, not that.
There's money. There
we go. So, well, if you were to share an experience with, or if someone came to you and had this concern, what would be the first thing that you would say to them?
Again, I think that for me, knowing that everything was going to be okay is the first thing. So I think them seeing and hearing me, but everybody's going to have their own fears. Everybody goes through the process at different times. My wife literally has gone through a process that the kids and I had to go through, 4 months ago, but for some reason her timing came up later. So we were able to assist her with support through that. Go to the association, communicate to the ones you love, not because you're running out of time, but because they deserve to be a part of it, right? And so a lot of times a lot of people go, I'm not going to tell my kids, I don't want to scare them. And I don't want to tell my kids because whatever their reasons are, let me clue you on this. If you don't tell your family or your friends or whoever's in your life, and you keep them out of this situation, you are not allowing them to be your superhero in your life. That's how they are going to pay back their love to you. So you have to, as hard as it is, and as hard as it is for me to be vulnerable and even call a friend and say, hey, I want to go to lunch with you. Can you pick me up, take me, and we'll go to lunch? Then have my wife give me the change to pay so that I can pay for it because I don't do math anymore. It's one of the things that suffered from this. There's a lot of vulnerability there, but there's a lot of love there. That's how I show my love, by being vulnerable, allowing my family to do for me. They are experiencing this disease, but not in a bad way, in a better way. So when I look at caretakers, I talk to them and they'll tell me about the person they loved in the very end stages. What I always hear is, I was very grateful to be there. I learned more about that person by being there. So why wait? Why wait till that late stage? Here's the thing about me that I know. This is as good as my brain's going to be for the rest of my life. From here on out, tomorrow, it may downgrade a percentage that either I recognize or don't recognize, that my friends either recognize or don't recognize. But either way, it's going to degrade. So my friends and family that choose to wait until the later stage, you're choosing to show up when I can't talk to you, when I can't share with you. And that's okay. I hope you can go there and still share with me, because when you share those memories, I can still feel the love and the excitement and the laughter. But right now, let's make new memories. Instead of sharing old memories, let's make some new memories. And I hope that when people think of me and they think of how this disease is changing, people that have dementia, it's no longer just somebody that happened to get it because they were old. They could have been beaten as a child, and so that brain damage could have caused it. They could have been serving our great country in one of our armed services and had brain damage that way. Or yes, they could have had genetically the disposition to have this disease. All of those are reasons that people could have it. So we have to realize that if you have a brain, then you have a chance at getting it. And the way I feel about it is, no brain left behind.
Oh, I love that. So 2 things you just said: making memories. It's something we all can do every day anyway, and asking for help. There's many situations where people could ask for help. I don't like the word should, but in this case, I'm going to probably say should also. And it's hard to do that.
It is. You're right.
But once you get used to it, and we've had so many people, let me know what I can do to help. Let me know what I can do to help. And my answer was, we will ask, and we will ask when it's something that you will be able to do, or that sort of thing. And
And
people
people want
do.
specificity too. They want specific. What can I do? You want me to take you to lunch? Do you want me to do your dishes? Do you want me to come to laundry? Do you want me to just come sit with you? I think if you can be explicit, specific with people, then you will get the results you want, and everybody's happy. You know, that's what I think.
Right. And also, if someone doesn't ask you for help right now, it just means your turn hasn't come up yet, which would be there. But
I love
no,
when my friends call and they say, "Hey, I don't know what to say," and I go, "That's exactly what you're supposed to say. Tell me how you're feeling, whether it's bad, you're angry." I have had friends who said, "Wow, I've had it all." I've had people who come up to me and say, "Wow, I don't know how you don't put a bullet in your brain. I don't know how you allow your wife to go through this." These are all things that people say. It's because they're scared and they're frightened. I've had many, 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 many hours in the middle of the night to think a lot of this. I think I'm more comfortable with myself than I've ever been. And I will tell you, just like I tell other people, somehow in some weird way, I feel blessed to have gotten this disease. And that sounds bad, but I truly feel like this is what we were meant to do, meant to be. We're meant to live this world, do the best you can, and leave it better for the next folks that come along. And I'm still doing that. So I think when you get this disease, the first thing kind of goes away is purpose. You lose that purpose in your life, whether it's in the home or work. Getting that purpose back gives you life back. It really does. And sometimes it's just taking a shower. Some days.
Mm-hmm. And that's how you live in the land of now.
Yes, ma'am. It's a great place to live. It really is. I wish I would have done this years ago. I spoke at the last association board meeting and stated that I'm so excited. I've already improved the life of my grandson. And they said, "Well, yeah." And I said, "But you don't understand, because of what my son has seen him as my wife and I do, my son has stepped it up. My daughter has stepped it up. I can't imagine what my grandchildren are going to do. But I do know now that they are going to live in a world without Alzheimer's."
Yes, yes, yes. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I
It's been a
hope that we
pleasure.
get to chat again. And oh, you have a documentary coming out. Do you
We
want to
do.
talk about
G.
that?
Davis Productions. Sure. G. Davis Productions. They actually had a play that tours the country for the Alzheimer's Association. He has come out. It's called Living with Love. It'll be out this next November. It's the story of how Corey and I are just surviving through this when we got it. Basically, what I told you, but you get to see her pretty face and you get to hear all about the parts that I forgot. So hopefully you can tune in for that. And then I've got an art show coming up on the 9th here in California, but I know we'll have a couple pieces that'll be auctioned online too. All that we're raising money to use to be able to help those with mild cognitive impairment and do some good in the world. So just look for Live for Today. You can Google Live for Today or my name or Corey's name, and you'll find some stuff on us. We appreciate all the support and love. Thank you
Thank you so much.